Hi. Around 6 years ago, I bought these five Canadian maple leafs. And of course, I saved the receipt. And you don't need to read it. I can just tell you it was $16 for each Canadian maple leaf or whatever. So right now they're worth about 7 times that amount, right? 16. They're over $100, $110 now. I don't know what. And I think that they're telling a story. Now, if silver, gold, or copper, if each on their own had gone up, like let's say silver, if just silver had gone up, I would have said, okay, somebody's like the Hunt brothers, they're trying to corner the market or something, so it's speculators. Same thing for gold, same thing for copper. Maybe if it's just copper, I'd say, oh, it's just the AI data centers. But for them to all go up, for them all to be spiking up, I think it's telling a very ominous story, which others have pointed out, that it's part of a move away from fiat currencies, especially the dollar, which is sinking. So the dollar was sinking, I think, before even silver made its move. So there are big problems here. Now, I'm not saying we're going to hyperinflation and the dollar's going to be worth nothing tomorrow or next month or next year, but I'm going to say it's moving in that direction. Because we also have the yen, reverse repos. There are many other strange daily movements in bonds, currencies, and cryptos. And movements that, it didn't happen. The last time that they happened was like 7 years ago, 10 years ago. Stuff that's really, really second or third standard deviation type events. And one thing I want to point out is that I feel that there's a truth out there that we're not seeing correctly. And that's because we're emotionally tied up in who's creating the tariffs. I'm not going to say his name. But I think we have to forget about that because it obscures a very simple fact. Forget about who did it or why. When you have tariffs or trade wars, it kills business everywhere in the country that's putting up the tariffs and the country that is sending the goods in. And I see no way that for this business to come back anytime soon. When you basically set up tariffs with everyone, with the country that has the reserve currency, because remember, the country with the reserve currency is supposed to be above all of that. Because it has a reserve currency, it doesn't resort to tariffs because it has that golden calf, right? It's just mind-blowing, right? That the smart people understand that are gone out of government. But whatever. So you have the tariffs, you've pissed off the Canadians, so now they're not coming here with their vacation dollars. Same thing with Mexico, Europe. So you have all these fights. Again, business comes to a close. How can you do business if you can't predict, if it's not stable enough, if you don't know, okay, I think if I build this thing and I build 1,000 units of it, I can make X amount of money. Well, if you don't know if there can be tariffs on it or not, why would you do that? Why would you take your chance? You wouldn't. So anybody that has capital in business and doesn't really need the income is either not going to do new things in a big way, or will do them in a small way. So I think what's missing out of the conversation, so to speak, is global business is dead, dead, dead. And that is a huge problem. Like putting everything aside, whatever's going on with currencies or commodities or the politics, it doesn't make a difference. Business is dead. And it's just going to get deader because it's just basic human psychology. And that's sort of the problem here, is that people look at the stock market and they're like, oh, well, it's going up, it's going up. And then they think that sort of, invalidates the whole idea of business recessions, right? That it can't be a business recession because the market's going up. No, it isn't. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything. So anyway, every nation is fighting with each other everywhere, so it's bad for business. And that means that people that have businesses will move away from income-producing security to resources. Well, why? Because resources are what you'll need when you start up business again. So like silver, right? It has both an industrial use in electronics, for instance, and it's a store of value. So if you're in the electronics business, then save silver because you'll use it when business comes back again. Same thing for gold, and especially for copper. So people might not be buying copper necessarily because they're going to build AI data centers, but that's actually a store of value for when business picks up again, because we still don't know about data centers. So moving into these resources will naturally weaken the dollar, as I said up front. And then if governments lower interest rates, it will only feed into the same piling into commodities that are created in real estate. But that would have a horrible, horrible effect because you already have real estate overvalued, in my opinion, too high. And now you're bringing commodities. Where does that leave your currency? Nowhere good. I'm trying to think of the word, like morality, the idiocracy, the idiocy of all this is simply mind-blowing. And then you'd say, well, it can't be that stupid, right? Nobody is that stupid. But they are. But I don't want to get into the politics. And I don't want to dwell on that stupid things are being done. I want to dwell on that people are being stupid to not recognize what's going on. Though, like I said, the smart ones are realizing that business is over and it's time to go into things that you might need in the future. So whatever they've been doing to stop the stock market from significantly crashing for the past 20 years, I think is only going to make the next crash more damaging and violent. I think the market is going to crash in a way that no amount of circuit breakers are going to stop. I've been saying this for a long time, and I've been wrong about it for a long time, but I'm going to hold my ground. That's what I think is going to happen. And the other thing I want to explain why I think we're in actually a panic, in a sense, or everything is broken down, is that from what I can understand, watching these YouTube channels, it's very difficult to sell the silver. So think about it. Like, you have the silver, you're holding on to it, that's fine. Now, if somebody wants to give you a really high price, sure, you'll sell some. But if you have it to sell to somebody, you can't sell it because nobody's buying it for speculation. Again, if it's speculation, it's easy to sell your gold and silver because people want to speculate with it. It's like, okay, well, it's 100, I think it's going to 200, I want to buy it. But I don't think we're seeing any of that because there's no speculation in it. It's pure hoarding, and that's what it's telling me. So the silver canary, I think it's fallen off its perch. I don't think it's getting up anytime soon. I don't think gold or silver are going back down ever. So draw that, connect those dots. Thanks for watching.